Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, time for another Q&A. It's been quite some time since I did the last Q&A. I've been watching everyone else's Q&A thinking I really want to do mine, but I've been doing that Warboss Tape painting challenge, answering daily questions. So I thought I'd hold off doing this particular one until the challenge was finished. So it has finished, and here I am doing my Q&A. So I've got all the questions from the previous video ready to answer, so thank you to everyone who submitted questions on that video. And remember, if you want to see another episode of this Q&A, then I'm going to need more questions. So please put some extra questions down in the comments box below for me. Right, okay, so let's get straight on with this and straight into the first question, which is from the Green Salami II. How do you manage to get this many videos out? What is your particular setup, hardware, software, etc.? Also, what are your thoughts on, now I can never pronounce this, Benadryl Cumberland as Khan for Into Darkness? So a few questions there, thank you for those questions. The first one, how do you manage to get this many videos out? It's all about planning, basically. I have a little diary, and I just write down what videos I want to make, what days I want to upload them, and I just sort of pre-plan them really. And on my days off I make 2 or 3 videos and I'll program them in, schedule them in for the rest of the week. So the simple answer really is planning, really. And of course I'm doing lots of hobby stuff, so I mean the channel is about my hobbies, so every time I'm doing hobby stuff then I'm making videos on it. So if I wasn't doing any hobby stuff I probably wouldn't be doing so many videos. So that's that, hopefully that's useful. What is your particular setup, hardware, software, etc.? So I made a video on my new camera which I'm currently using, but basically I'm using a Canon 750D. I've got the 18-135 STM lens on there with the STM motored lens, which is specifically designed for video, and then I've got 2 Manfrotto LED lights which I use, an array of tripods. Got video on the tripods actually. Currently using the little tabletop Manfrotto tripod for DSLRs. I'm using a microphone which I can show you here. Using my Rode microphone, hello, testing 1 2 3, which is just an extension cable there. That's it for the camera stuff really. And then in terms of the software, I just use Windows Movie Maker on my laptop. Nothing special really there, so that's what I use. And what did I think of the person that played Khan in the latest video? Movie, well, not the latest one, but the one before that. It was alright. It was a different Khan, wasn't it, to what we know and love. I think he portrayed the new Khan quite well, but it wasn't really Khan, was it? Not as we know it. I enjoyed the film. I like the film. I like all the new films. But yeah, yeah, he did a good job. Certainly, I'm nothing against him. The only person out of the new films that I didn't like, which I've said this before, but Simon Pegg as Scotty in the first film didn't work for me. But in the second film, they made him into Scotty, so I was quite happy with that. And I'm not going to mention the third film because I haven't seen it yet, because I haven't been able to get a babysitter as my wife has been away. But I will be seeing it at some point soon, hopefully. Okay, so that's all of your questions answered, thank you. Next is from Cruorangelussilicis, Mike. Or, as we now know, Blood Angels Rock, which apparently is what Cruorangelussilicis stands for. I'm very tempted to unsubscribe. Blood Angels Rock? Come on, Mike. I'm only joking. Right, okay, so his question is, what are the 3 best days of your life so far? And this is a very good question. I have 3 children, so the obvious answer is when my 3 children were born. But I'm going to stay away from the obvious answers because I think I might be able to come up with more interesting answers. So I remember once, one of my best days was when we had a professional snooker player. Snooker is one of my other hobbies. We had a professional snooker player come to our club, and 10 people from our club was invited to give this guy a game of snooker. His name is Paul Davies, which I know he's not particularly famous, but at the time he was ranked 38th in the world, which is pretty decent. Anyway, out of the 10 people that played him, I was the only person that beat him. Yay! Yeah, I played really well, and I didn't just beat him, I beat him. I remember I got a 38 break, and then I stitched him up. Basically, I put him in a snooker, and yeah, it was quite funny actually. But anyway, yeah, I won that frame, and it's quite interesting. He had a chat with me afterwards, and he said when I was a youngster, I remember I did exactly the same thing in our club. He said we had Steve Davis come down, and bear in mind Steve Davis is my snooker hero. And he said that Steve Davis came down and he was the only person to beat Steve Davis. So that was quite interesting little story. But that felt good, beating a professional. Yeah, I enjoyed that day. So that was one day. The second day, I'm going to say the day I met my wife in the real life. Because I met my wife actually on the internet. Yeah, it wasn't a mail order bride or anything stupid like that. It was we just got chatting basically, and we did about 3,000 emails in 11 months, and then eventually went out to Indonesia to meet her. And that first day was a very exciting day. And as you already know, if you've been watching my channel for some time, I am not a traveller at all. I actually do not like travelling, but I did travel all the way out to Indonesia by myself on a 21-hour journey to meet my wife, and getting off the plane, seeing her for the first time, was very memorable. It was a great day. So I'm going to put that down as one of my best days. My third day is too rude to say. Yeah, my third best day is too rude to say. I'll let your imagination go wild with that one. Okay, so thanks Mike for your questions. Next is 33 Clay Dog, my very good buddy Clayton. And he says, is there one model or miniature that you haven't gotten yet but really want? There aren't many models that I really want. I'm in that stage of my hobby where I don't have models that I really want. I've got a good amount of models for most of my armies. I do know what my next purchase will be, and that is going to be a Tyranid. I'm trying to remember what the hell the name is of it now. Exocrine. I think it's the Exocrine. It's the one with the big tongue and all the out of its mouth. And then you can change it into the other one with the big gun. So it's the one with the big gun I want, but I will magnetise it. I actually want 2. So yeah, that's going to be my next purchase at one point when I've got some spare cash. Okay, next is from Bellport Battle Bunker, and he says, in your opinion, what army faction would be best recommended for a beginner or for the casual gamer looking to get into the hobby? Space Marines was my first army, as they were tough as nails in gameplay, which made them forgiving to rookie mistakes, fairly easy to paint and assemble, army-wide rules and stats with few variations, and had good fluff. In today's game, Space Marines have so many different forces, it would be difficult to pick from. What do you think? Okay, so what I would recommend for a beginner, I would suggest, what I would do is this. I would say that I would recommend Space Marines actually. I'd recommend standard Space Marines, not Blood Angels or Space Wolves or a supplemented codex, the bog standard Space Marine codex. And I would say, what do you think of these? If they didn't like them, if they were like me and preferred a Xenos type army, you know, like Eldar or something like that, then I'd direct them with the virtues of what that army would be about. But first of all, I'd say, what do you think of these Space Marines? Show them the Space Marines. And if they say, oh yeah, they look cool, I like them, then I would recommend Space Marines. And then there's reason for that. Now, my first army was Necrons. And I played Necrons for a good amount of years against Space Marines. Chaos Space Marines, Blood Angels, normal Space Marines. And what I noticed, now bearing in mind I was talking about the old Necron Codex, limited amount of models, no options, no tanks apart from my monolith. What I did notice was that my friends learnt the rules much quicker than me, much faster rate, because my knowledge that I needed was different from what they needed for the army. You know, I didn't need to know about how to move a tank, you know, shooting firing arcs from tanks and hull mounted guns and sponsons and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I didn't need to know because my Necrons were pretty basic. Let's face it, in those days there were no options and it was all basic stuff. So my learning curve of the rules was much slower. And that's one reason why I'd say go for Space Marines, because I think you learn a lot from playing Space Marines. Even if ultimately it's not going to be the armament you end up with as your main army, I think it's good to learn from Space Marines. You know, all the stat lines. Basically, most of the rules that are in the main rulebook you will experience with playing Space Marines. Whereas if you went for Tyranids, you may not necessarily get to use all the rules. And I think for that point of view, I would say Space Marines. And I would stick to standard Space Marines rather than a supplemented one, because like from my experience where I went for a supplemented Space Wolves 13th Company, which eventually the army was defunct. Okay, so they're making a comeback now, but yeah, I think it's a safe bet, just stick with the main rulebook. Thank you for the question. Next is from Scragguard. Do you pre-think fantasy dangers in life? For example, what would you do if zombies attacked your hometown? I don't pre-think dangers, fantasy dangers. If zombies attacked the hometown, what would I do? I would send the wife out, because she's as hard as nails. She don't take anything from anyone, and I'm just a wimp, so I'll just send the wife out to deal with the zombies and I'll just stay at home and cower. Next we have Tyranaholic. Bill, thank you Bill for your question. And he says, I saw some really beautiful Necron terrain in your bat reps, and I was curious if you have built it or have you ever scratch built any Necron terrain? Thank you Bill, appreciate that comment, especially coming from yourself, a fantastic terrain builder. Okay, so I was curious if you built it. I did actually build pretty much all of it. Well, I built everything apart from the little Forge World piece that I've got. Some of it was scratch built and some of it was from laser cut card. All of my early terrain was scratch built and using the very old Necron Codex. In the back of there was a terrain generator. So my Necron Abyss, the big tomb, the ruined tomb, the small tomb, the Messer, all that stuff was the dried riverbed that I've got. That was all inspired by that early Necron Codex. and it's all scratch built, foam board and stuff. As I progress, and I found Laser Cut Card, I've also got a lot of his terrain, so the big obelisks and the little buildings and stuff that you see on my channel, that's Laser Cut Card stuff. So obviously I still made it, but it was sort of pre-cut shapes and stuff. So yeah, most of it scratch built really, to be fair. So thank you very much for your question. Next we have Commissar Warwick. What are your long-term ambitions for your Tyranids? Thank you, Warwick, for your question. Check out Warwick's channel, of course. We'll put a link to everyone's channel in the description below, so go and check them all out. But as Commissar Warwick always says on his Q&A, when I ask him a question, he always says to everyone, go and check me out. So it's only right I say the same back. So yeah, Commissar Warwick, check his channel out. Great guy. Right, so what are my ambitions for my Tyranids? Well, at this moment in time, all of my Tyranids are painted. I do want to get that unit that I was talking about earlier as an addition. I, at one point, wanted to get loads and loads of Tervagons, but obviously the Tervagon rules have changed now, so I'm no desire to do that. I think it would be nice to have one of the big Forge World Tyranids, but I'm in no desperate rush for anything like that. Maybe a Demokirion model or two. But I've got no long-term ambitions really. I've got enough to play with them. So what I want to do ultimately is I want to get all of my armies painted, and then I can be in a position where I can buy a unit or a model and build and paint it and then play with it and just add slowly to my armies. And I think ideally what I'd like to be able to do is get it into a position where I can actually paint stuff for other people, just paint for pleasure. I think that would be a really nice position to be in, you know, do a few units of my own for my armies as I expand them, and then maybe paint a few HQs and stuff for other people, because I think that would be really cool. Okay, so that's that question. Next is from Kiblums. Have you never been tempted to play the Star Trek video games? Well, I have played Star Trek video games before this hobby, so quite some time ago. I've still got them, but they're for the old PC thing, and they're not that great, to be fair. I know the new ones are a lot better, but I totally avoid video games because I don't have the time, basically. So I do my absolute best to avoid them if I can. Mind you, if Lego Star Wars came out, sorry, if Lego Star Trek came out, I would be very tempted. The next question is from Etron. He says, what Forge World model would you like if money was no option? Or if someone was giving it to you as a gift? And will you be going to any Forge World or Games Workshop events this year or next? I have no plans to go to Games Workshop or Forge World events at all. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but I certainly have no plans. What Forge World model would I like? The last Forge World model that I was seriously looking at was Bjorn, the Foul-Handed, the Space Wolves Dreadnought, because that's just wicked. It's a wicked dreadnought. So I was looking at that, but I don't actually plan on buying it, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'd probably say Bjorn. Next, we'll see if I can pronounce this. So it's Elia Davies. Would you ever do challenge matches? Just wondering. Depends what you mean by challenge matches. Do you mean as in 2 HQs fighting it out in a little mini battle report? Or do you mean challenging people to play me, like on YouTube, for example. So if you mean challenging other players, then I've sort of been doing that because I have been playing a few people. If you mean like two HQs fighting it out, I do really enjoy those. I don't know that I would do them myself, but I do enjoy watching them. I don't really have enough HQ selections, I don't think, to actually do that myself. Yeah, I really do like him actually. I think quite good. So next we have a question from Fire Breathing Duck, and he says, what do you prefer, winter or summer Olympics? I'm not really into sports, but if I had the choice I would probably say winter Olympics over summer Olympics. I think it's just a bit more interesting because you get to see sort of not so seen events, you know, stuff that you wouldn't normally see. But I'm really not into sports. I mean, the Olympics on at the moment. I haven't watched anything. Well, I don't lie. I watched that guy break his leg on YouTube, but that's about all I've watched. So, yeah. Okay, Victor Hughes. Let's mix Star Trek and Warhammer 40k. Now imagine that Borg and the Tyranids find each other. How do you think this will end up? I think the Tyranids would win because would the Borg really want to assimilate the Tyranids? I suppose it could be useful if they assimilate some of the hive mind creatures, but they wouldn't want to assimilate Gants and Gaunts, I would imagine. And I just see the Borg being overrun by Tyranids, you know, and they've got a lot of firepower. They put up a good fight, but I think the weight of numbers, the weight of numbers for Tyranids would win. It would be interesting to see that. Next question is from Tattoo for You, Richard, and he says, so who inspires you the most in the hobby? Who do you look up to the most in life? So who inspires me the most in the hobby? I think that's changed over the years because my hobby's changed over the years. So it used to be, well, I say it used to be, I mean, these people still inspire me, but not necessarily my number one. So Fritz 40k, my full inspiration for my YouTube channel and my blog, very inspirational person, and I really did look up to him. And he, like I said, basically I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Fritz. And what I really liked about Fritz is obviously all his tactical videos and stuff, which I learnt an awful lot from his videos. I think I've now surpassed some of that because now I'm more tactical myself. I don't necessarily need to learn so much. I still enjoy his videos and watch his videos all the time. But yeah, so my hobbies changed from wanting to learn everything about the game, the tactics, and trying to basically win. And my hobbies now changed more to the painting side. The painting is where I try to get my inspiration from. And again, over the years, my painting inspirational people have changed. So we had Athalith. I went through a stage where he really inspired me, especially with his Eldar stuff, with his Eldar jet bikes and that. Big inspiration there. And then it was Victor Hughes. He does an amazing painting. Then it was 33 Clay Dog. I say was, I mean he still is massive inspiration. and a great friend as well. But 33 Clay Dog, great inspiration, really pushing me with my painting. And then recently, now I can never remember the second name, but Vince Vince, yeah, the link is in the description below. Vince Vitrell, someone, sorry Vince, I can't remember your second name, or can't remember how to pronounce it anyway. But yeah, Vince, what I love about Vince is he inspires me to go to the next level. So with my Space Wolves, I've gone to the absolute top of my game in what I think that I'm capable of. And then you watch a video from Vince and you think, well, no, there's a whole new level to go. Yeah, his videos are fantastic. You should definitely watch them. The hobby cheating videos are really awesome. I've learned a lot from there, and when I do another army, I do want to take my painting to the next level, and I'm going to be re-watching all of Vince's videos because they're all fantastic. So I suppose Vince is probably one of my biggest inspirations now, along with Clayton, those two, and it's the painting side that inspires me currently. Yeah, so that's that question. Right, next question is from, no, actually, second part of the question, sorry Richard. Who do you look up to the most in life? That's got to be my wife, really. She's something else, really, to be fair. She's super intelligent. She's got an amazing sixth sense. She knows everything that's going to happen before it happens. She always gives the correct advice, and she's just an inspiration as well. You know, moving from a home country to this country and making it work in what's been quite difficult times, you know, trying with a career and stuff, because she's got a degree in everything in her country, but it's like political science. When you come into this country, that degree is like just useless, you know, you can't really use it. So she's gone to, you know, she did college, and she got the ATT, is it, and accountancy and stuff, and she's just done really well for herself, and she's pretty inspirational to me, and I've learnt a lot about myself since I've met her. So yeah, I would say my wife. Okay, so next is from Hero of Cadia. Have you watched Galaxy Quest, and what do you think of it? I have watched it. I have it on DVD. I've watched it many times actually. I think it's great. I really like it. I think it's funny. It's actually a really good film. So yeah, I do like it. And in actual fact, your questions, I flicked through these questions before I made this video, made me think of another film that I really like, which I'm going to watch over the next couple of days. But you guys remember this? Free Enterprise. It's actually a really cool film. It's got William Shatner in there. It's a comedy. It's a sort of a Mickey take comedy, but it's about a couple of geeks in a comic shop, and it's got Star Trek inclinations. It's really good fun, so I'm going to watch that. So yeah. Okay, so next question is from Mini Warzone Pete. What is the furthest you have travelled in order to play a game? And what do you think the best way to transport your models would be? As in a case, boxes, etc. Any special packaging materials? So the furthest I've travelled for a game would have been the tournament that I just went to, which wasn't that far. It's like an hour away. Yeah. So that's that question. Transportation, isn't that the pain of everyone's life? My most favourite cases you can't guess anymore. There was a company, I think it's called Chadwell. They're not around anymore. But I've got two cases, one massive Necron case, and one for my Tyranids. And they use the foam, but they use like I can only describe it as like the egg carton foam. And that works really well. It's not suitable for everything, but it does work well. So I really like those cases. And then I've had GW ones, the old ones. I've got GW new one. I've got a KR multi-case. What do I think of them? The new GW case, awful. It's terrible. It's got some good points. It's actually pretty good for storing bigger stuff. Like my Eldar Raiders, I got into that case quite well. It's not very good at storing infantry. The base, you put your men in, and then you lift it up, and then the base drops down, and all your models drop down, and then that's rubbish. You need to sort that out. Maybe put a piece of card in there, or glue them together, or something. I don't know. But I wasn't impressed with that, so I'm not impressed with the new GW case. The old GW case is absolutely fine. Slightly annoying that you only get 9 rows of 9 men and not 10. Units of 10, why not have rows of 10? And more difficult to store vehicles and stuff. My KR multi-case, fantastic. You can select the different foam you want. I've got my flayed one army in a little case. Where the flayed ones are quite small models, I went for slightly smaller holes than the GW one, and you get more on a tray. They are in 10, so you get 40 models in one tray. And if you've got like orcs or something, you can actually get an even smaller hole, and you can get 50 on a tray. And they're really good value for money. I'm looking down there because I've got a case down there. But yeah, they're really good value for money, and you can get custom foam for them as well. So I would say the KR multi-case probably is my favourite, although I only have one, and it's just a little basic one. It cost me £20, but I've got my whole. Actually, let me show you. So I've just come back from the tournament. I have my 1800 point Necron flayed one army in this box, and this is my stencil I got from Kibblins, so thank you Kibblins. But yeah, my whole army in there, 3 trays. I've got tomb spiders, there's 2 tomb spiders in there, 12 wraiths, all the warriors, all the flayed ones, all in there nice and safe. But I also have cardboard boxes. I have some camera bags, I have an aluminium case, a couple of them actually. I've got boxes, I've got my Eldar flyer just in a single box with some foam, bubble wrap, it's always good. So I don't have smart fancy cases for all of my models. I would love to have one of those custom built cases, but it wouldn't work for me because I expand my armies too much. You know, I don't have like a, well I say I don't, maybe I do, but I mean my Dark Eldar is a fixed army, so I suppose it could work with that, but most of my armies just expand. You know, you buy new units and stuff, so it is tough. It's a tough one. So there you go, probably I would say KR multi-cases. Next is from the 40k Orcs, and he says, do you watch snooker tournaments on the TV or the internet? By choice, I watch them on the television. Yeah, if I can watch them on the telly, I will. If I'm unable to watch them on the telly because the wife wants to watch something or my children, I have to resort to the laptop and watch it on the laptop. But yeah, if I can watch it on the TV, then you know that's good. My wife will let me watch it, but sometimes I gotta have the sound down. But watching snooker, actually, what I enjoy is actually the commentary as well. You know, it goes hand in hand, the commentary over what they're doing, because I like to learn what they're doing as well. And I like to predict what I think they're going to do and see if they actually do it, and see what the commentators say. So actually watching snooker without the commentators isn't as interesting to me. So I do like to have the sound on if I can. Thank you for your question. And last question of the day is from DZ Saber, which I did a shout out to not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago. So if you didn't check his channel out from that shout out, then please do so now. Link is in the description below. Great guy, he's got over 100 videos, and he needs more subs, so go and check him out. Okay, his question is, so what inspired you to start a Chaos Army? Are there any other armies you are tempted to start? I didn't really get inspired to start a Chaos Army. I basically won my Chaos Army, and then I had some stuff donated. So I won Nerdopolis's Primes. I think it was 250th subscriber. Was it 350th subscriber? Can't remember. He had a competition, and I won the Chaos half of the Dark Vengeance box set. And then once I won that, then I was given a huge box of loot, and in there was a load of Chaos stuff. So that's how I got to getting a Chaos Army, which I'm yet to get to, but I will get to it. It's going to be fun as well. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that's what inspired me there. Are there any other armies you are tempted to start? The answer is no. Yeah, that's what I said about starting a Dark Eldar army. But at this moment in time, no. I don't have the space. I've got my Chaos Army to build. I've got an Iaden army to build. I've got a Harlequin army to build. I've got more armies to come, so I have no plans to get another army. So that is it, yes, end of the questions. So thank you very much. I really hope you enjoyed all my answers. Don't forget, leave some more questions in the comments box. I would really appreciate it, because without those questions, there's no chance of me making another Q&A. So thanks for that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.